Hello and welcome to Camp Xtras. A little bit ago, we went through 5 horror games on the PSP, and today it's time to talk about 5 more. As a horror fan, I always love seeing what horror games every console has to offer, and the PSP is pretty light on the genre. But today, I scrounged up a bit more. That means we are stretching what is horror on the PSP though, since these aren't all traditional horror games, but these are games with some sort of horror influence. All footage was captured off of a PSP, and let's go ahead and hop into this list. First up is Silent Hill Shattered Memories. This one came to the PSP in 2010, but it also saw releases on the Wii and PS2. Last episode we talked about Origins, which I enjoy but is a bit flawed, whereas Shattered Memories is an excellent and enjoyable game and very unique for the PSP. Shattered Memories is an updated take on the original plot of Silent Hill. You play as Harry Mason in his quest to find his daughter Cheryl, though now he's trapped in a frozen version of Silent Hill. Characters like Sybil show up, but everything is different in this rendition of a classic story. I like this approach because it's a light remake, taking the nostalgia from the classic but flipping it enough on its head to feel inventive for the time. This game was mainly made with the Wii's motion controller in mind, at least that's how I feel, and you see that reflected in the game's design, from the flashlight movements to the odd mechanics of moving objects in the environment. Yet, let me say, even if it's a bit gimmicky, I think it gives this game an odd style that I appreciate. It's unlike any Silent Hill before it and nothing since, making it a truly unique experience in the series, though it still has that classic puzzle and exploration style that Silent Hill needs, melding odd puzzles with odd controls to make something neat for the handheld, where you're moving a cursor rather than pointing a Wiimote. Some might get turned off by this, but I think it works surprisingly well. This game also looks great on the PSP and is shrouded in darkness. The mood in Shattered Memories is intense. The pitch blackness of a snowy night is well captured, and the frigid, cold atmosphere adds to the sense that anything can be lurking around every dark corner. Throw in some fun puzzles and neat things you can do with your in-game phone. I love games in this era that have you taking pictures with your phone, and I think it works well in a horror game, and it adds atmosphere along with a fantastic score from the one and only Akira Yamaoka. Silent Hill is all about mood, and this entry gets that right, meaning that this game lovingly works in the series, but also manages to work as something different. This is one I feel people overlook now, but you should definitely check this out if you love horror. Next up is Infected, an early PSP game released in 2005. I talked about this one in my Hidden Gems video a little bit ago, but here we are again. This is not specifically scary horror, it's more focused on action, but it definitely draws on violent horror influences. Also, this one was developed by Planet Moon Studios, the team behind Armed and Dangerous, which is a great game. And I might love Infected, but this feels so different from that game. But then again, their final game would be a movie game for Tangled, and that is definitely different. Infected takes place during Christmas, and a zombie virus has infected the entire city of New York. Yet your character is immune, and you need to get the cure to the people, yet along the way you have to kill every zombie that gets in your way. What's fun here is you can change the look of your main character, which notably could be swapped for the members of the nu metal band Slipknot, and their music is featured here in this game. Back in the day when this game was new, I thought this was a fantastic inclusion, and now I still think it's really fun. This is an arcadey third-person shooter. You go from mission to mission, and there is no baggage associated with this one. You go in and kill enemies with all the guns you have. It's about violence, and that arcadiness to me is perfect for the PSP, a console meant to be picked up and played for a small bit of time. This is the type of game that you chip away at during the day. In this game, it's all about racking up high scores, swapping between all your weapons, hitting multiple hits net you combos, and you keep this up by killing enemies over and over. It does a good job of killing monotony though by having great level designs with solid variety. Sure, we've seen New York plenty of times in gaming, but this zombified version here is fun, and I love the amount of places you get to travel around in. It all controls well, and it has a fun metal soundtrack. This is a straight hidden gem on the console no one talks about, and one you should play if you're a fan of the PSP. Next is Hysteria Project from 2010. This one was a port of an iOS game and also saw a PS3 release. Also, I had to dig deep for this one. This got no physical release and was a digital-only PSP Mini, which those were tiny downloadable titles from the PSP store. And this was really novel at the time before the Vita would make its digital store a major part of its experience. Hysteria Project is a full motion video game, meaning it's all live-action cutscenes with some interaction from the player. I sometimes have a soft spot for FMV games, and I wanted to like this one, but this is one of the laziest games I've ever played. I usually try to see some positives in a game, but I thought this was awful. You play as a man who wakes up trapped in the shed, and after a series of choices that pop up on the screen, you escape, and a killer chases after you. After that, you make choices that could either mean you live or die, similar to Choose Your Own Adventure books. I used to love those as a kid, but this one is mainly 3 or 2 choices saying turn left, turn right, or go forward. It all takes place in the woods, and there is almost zero visual variety. Most of this game is in a first-person view of you running, and the camera seems to always be pointed down at leaves. So if you want a 30-minute game where 20 minutes of it is shots of leaves on the ground, well then I've got the game for you. Not only that, but they throw on QuickTime events with no feedback in game. You just tap buttons for what feels like no reason sometimes, which is not good gameplay. An FMV horror title on the PSP is a great idea, but this is lazy. I get that it had to be cheap, but give me something fascinating to look at, maybe some weird visuals. Otherwise, it's just going to be dull. In addition, the music plays on loop, so you hear the same chase music over and over, along with poorly done sound effects. This is one I can't recommend, but critics at the time were actually okay with it, so maybe I'm just not into it, and you might like it. Or maybe I just need to check out the sequel, which this one did get, but I'll save that if we do another horror PSP list. Next up is The Third Birthday, which came out in 2011 in North America. This is the biggest stretch in this video, and maybe ever if you include my Xbox horror series over on Camp Xtras. However, I put this on here as I see it listed as a horror game a lot, and it's also part of the Parasite Eve PlayStation games, which are horror games. This one leans more action-heavy though, but it does have a surreal horror-like element with insane monsters, brutal kills, and a dark, depressing mood. It's definitely influenced, but it's certainly not a mainstream horror game. Though it is a sequel, you don't really need to play the last 2 games, as this game is not like the rest of the series. This game in particular has a pretty bad reputation amongst fans of the series, as it doesn't really follow the rest of the series, so this one's in a battle against expectations. I actually bought this one when it was new, and I have to admit, I like this game. It's bizarre in so many ways, and I find it kind of fun. For one, the plot is insane, and it's so hard to follow. You play as Aya, and a force called the Twisted have destroyed New York. She has the ability to travel back in time to change the outcomes of losing battles. I'm skipping a lot of lore and techno jargon along the way, and it's a weird game, but I kind of like weird. The gameplay is unique as well. This is a third-person shooter, and you use cover and kill the Twisted that appear. Yet you also command the troops you fight with. By aiming at an enemy long enough, you can direct all the fire towards that one enemy. And once you get their health down enough, you can fly into them and kill them. Along with that, you get an overcharge power that will give you extreme powers for a short amount of time. And there's RPG elements too, where you level up your character and can get a ton of various upgrades to level yourself up and your weapons. A surprising amount is going on in this game, and I like that ambition, though the controls on the PSP can be a lot, especially with a camera that can be a bit troublesome at times. If you do play a lot of PSP games, I feel like it's easier to get used to controls like this. Also, this is one of the best looking PSP games. It's an awe-inspiring game with awesome character designs and large levels to move around in. The PSP was 7 years old in 2011, and there were many games at the end that really pushed the console to another level, and this was one of them. I remember getting this one and being very impressed, and I still am. The Third Birthday is not a great Parasite Eve game, but as its own thing, I do think it's at least a fun time. It's controversial, but I think this one is well worth checking out.
Be careful, Aya.
I'm going in.
The final game on today's list is Corpse Party. This one made it to the PSP in North America in 2011. This is the one that popped up a few times in my comments in my first video, so I knew it needed a spot here. The main reason I didn't put it there is because I had never played it before. I know as a horror game fan, I always wanted to try this one, but to be honest with you, I don't play a ton of anime games, so I always push this one to the side. Yet playing it is a hardcore horror game. Don't let the simple RPG designs and bright characters fool you. Corpse Party is insane. In this game, you follow a group of students who are transported to an alternate dimension of the school that they are in. It's decrepit, and the remains of other students are scattered everywhere, and it's an adventure game, so you explore the school, picking up objects and avoiding enemies to move on. Despite its RPG aesthetics, Corpse Party is more focused on plot, making this game more akin to a visual novel in my eyes, where long passages of the game are told over dialogue. Though I will say I'm very basic when it comes to visual novel games. I've hardly played any, but I feel like the writing and voice acting here are pretty solid, with the anime art being fine, but its gore art is insane. I can't even show most of the stuff that is displayed in this game. It's hyper violent, and I was surprised by it when I saw it. If you're into more gruesome horror, this is going to be for you. Also, I gotta add, the music and sound work here is awesome. I really love the vibe of searching through the halls to this spooky music. Mix that with disgusting art, and you have something that I can say is haunting. Something about the art churned my stomach while I played it, and I've never seen stuff like this in other games, so this is not for the squeamish. From what I played, it's a true horror title and something completely unique for the console. It's something I'm gonna have to keep plugging away at, though maybe I won't play it in public. It's one I recommend checking out if you're into something really gruesome. That wraps it up for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, it helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with more content like this, and be sure to check out my main channel, Camp Xbox, and comment below with what other games I might have missed. I feel like we could get a third episode out, but I just gotta find the right games. I know of at least Corpse Party 2 and Hysteria Project 2, and maybe a few others, but I definitely need your help with that one. But I'll see you here next time at Camp Xtras.